You've been talking about me for 18 years. What have I ever done to you?
You a drunk fool.
Besides that, I love everybody. I even love you.
Hold your tongue. You don't have that much love.
You married, your husband and wife and all that. Then you get to be parents. And then you get to be partners and ultimately friends.
Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis were married for 57 years. They weren't just actors, they were a powerful force of change, starring in 9 films together while playing pivotal roles as revolutionary activists in the civil rights movement. The couple had 3 children, Nora, Guy, and Hasna. Imagine a childhood where Malcolm X, Maya Angelou, and Sidney Poitier weren't just names in history books. They were uncles and aunts dropping by for dinner. This was the reality for the children, growing up in the Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis household. Raised in the shadow of such greatness, what became of them, and where are they now? Some followed in their parents' iconic footsteps, and some forged entirely new paths. Stay tuned, because their journeys in this video will educate, entertain, and surprise you. Number 3. Nora Davis. Picture this. It's 1967. A black teenage girl walks into her high school with her natural afro hair. Her grandparents think she's lost her mind. But her mother? Her mother tells her to weave jewels into her hair. That mother was Ruby Dee. Now, if you don't understand how radical this was, let me paint you a picture. This was the height of the civil rights era. Black women were expected to straighten their hair. Hot combs, perms, chemical relaxers, the whole 9 yards. And here comes Nora with her hair in its natural state, essentially making a political statement just by existing. Her grandparents were horrified, but Ruby Dee, she was there for it. Now here's where it gets even more interesting. Nora didn't grow up in a regular household. We're talking about dinner parties with Cicely Tyson, Harry Belafonte dropping by, James Baldwin having philosophical conversations in the living room. This girl had a front row seat to black excellence before it was even called that. She could have easily followed in her parents' footsteps, become an actress, and lived in the spotlight. But she chose a completely different path. Instead of seeking fame, Nora went into film production, specifically sound engineering, later choosing to step away from that too. She married Bill Day, a respected museum curator, graphic designer, and artist in his own right, and chose the simpler life of being an educator and the sacred duty of preserving her parents' monumental story. Together, they have built a family that extends the lineage. 4 children, 4 grandchildren, and 3 great-grandchildren. One of their daughters, Imani, is an award-winning architect and writer who owns her fully independent practice. Imani is the 13th African-American woman to become a licensed architect in the state of Michigan and the 463rd to be licensed in the United States. Number 2. Guy Davis. Born in 1952, he is the only son and without a doubt the most artistically gifted of Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee's children. Guy's early life was grounded despite the glitz and glamour that was the norm for his parents. He was 11 years old when his parents were masters of ceremony at the 1963 Civil Rights March on Washington, led by Martin Luther King Jr. And 2 years later, after the assassination of Malcolm X, he saw his dad write and deliver the eulogy at his funeral. Presented with 2 choices, a life of activism and social justice, and that of creativity and artistic expression, Guy chose the latter and got into acting. Early in his career, he starred opposite Rae Dawn Chong, daughter of comedian Tommy Chong, in the 1984 breakdancing film Beat Street. The film itself was produced by a family friend, legendary singer Harry Belafonte. With the expectations and pressure of his parents' achievements weighing heavy on him, he shifted his focus to music, particularly the blues. Feeling a need to develop his own voice and escape the shadow of his famous parents, he taught himself to play the guitar and banjo by watching musicians like Pete Seeger. Despite immersing himself into music, Guy didn't quit acting entirely and appeared with his parents, Ruby Dee and Ossie Davis, in a show called Two Ha-Has and a Homeboy and a couple of plays on Broadway. His music career eventually took off, and he's gone on to perform in 48 of the 50 states and across most of Europe, and was once chased out of Moscow's Red Square for trying to sing close to the Kremlin. He has played alongside Bruce Springsteen, James Cotton, and Chris Christopherson, and has curtain raised for, among others, Chuck Berry, Joan Armatrading, and B.B. King. He also appeared in and co-wrote songs for the Nickelodeon show Whoopi Goldberg's Littleberg. Guy's personal life also reflects a deep connection to the legacy of activism. He married Dr. Dawoti Desir, an interfaith leader, academic, and human rights advocate. Dr. Desir served as the first executive director of the Malcolm X and Dr. Betty Shabazz Memorial Educational and Cultural Center. Together, they have a son, Marshall Davis, who is emerging as a talented photographer and creative artist. In 2017, at the height of his career, Guy was nominated for a Grammy for the Best Traditional Blues Album, and he was nominated again in the same category in 2022, narrowly losing to the Rolling Stones. Now in his 70s, he's a well-respected blues musician and is occasionally called upon for film roles, notably appearing as outlaw hunter Bass Reeves in the series Tales of the Wild West, and portrayed legendary blues musician Jimmy Reeves in the movie The Rhythm and the Blues in 2024. Number 1. Hasna Muhammad Davis. Growing up in the Davis household as the last born, it was a childhood both ordinary and extraordinary. Hasna grew up to become a woman who embodies the full spectrum of her parents' blueprint and legacy. As a visual artist, she took the last photo of her mother. She holds a doctorate in education from Ivy League school, Columbia University, and was a high school principal and a district superintendent for curriculum and human resources. She now exhibits her photography throughout the country and is the author of Breathe in the Sky, Poems, Prayers, and Photographs. Hasna is a proud member of Daughters of the Movement, a sisterhood of civil rights legacy holders. This group includes the likes of Gina Belafonte, daughter of Julie and Harry Belafonte, Suzanne Kay, daughter of Diahan Carroll, and Ilyasa Shabazz, daughter of Malcolm X. She married jazz musician Wally Ali, and together they raised 3 children who are revolutionizing their own fields. Their son Muta Ali is an Emmy-nominated filmmaker who realized after Ossie's passing that he had questions for his grandmother Ruby. He created the documentary Life's Essentials with Ruby Dee, capturing her insights into their life of art, love, and activism. His work includes HBO documentaries on the Central Park Five and Muhammad Ali. His brother Jihad Muhammad works in finance and is a talented photographer who founded a media company. Their sister Ihsana is an executive chef specializing in organic healing cuisine. Hasna, her sister Nora, and brother Guy maintain a close bond and often come together to celebrate the legacy of their parents. When Ruby Dee passed away in 2014, the 3 siblings made a decision that perfectly captures their unity. They put up the house that had been their home for 51 years on the market for $1.5 million. The sprawling 5,600 square foot New York property with 5 bedrooms, 5 bathrooms, and 4 fireplaces was recommended to Ruby Dee by Sidney Poitier's wife, Juanita. The house is in the National Register of Historic Places, meaning its exterior and landscaping is protected from changes and can only be renovated in the interior by new owners. The siblings didn't just sell memories, they created new ones. They stood together at the unveiling of a street renamed in their parents' honor in Harlem in New York, and gathered again recently to raise a toast to the legacy and memory of their mother at the launch of Ruby's Vintage, a restaurant that lives in the same building where the legendary Ruby Dee was raised.